Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macie Renae, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello. I wanted to come on here and chat about this topic. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. If you're brand new here, welcome to Becoming Your Highest Self. I am Macie Renae, and I'm so excited to have you here. And I have had so many conversations in the last couple of days, and I wanted to get on here. So this is not even the normal day that I would be recording a podcast episode, but this has been coming up for so many people in the last several days that I was like, I have to get on here because somebody needs to hear this. Somebody else I'm sure could benefit from this episode. So what I'm going to ask of you is that if you listen to this episode and you absolutely feel that it resonates either with you or somebody that you may know, maybe they need it, share it with them. And if you're loving the podcast, you are more than welcome anytime to reach out and let me know on social media. If you are following me, make sure you introduce yourself. I love to know who you are, where you're from. I'm just very curious, and it's always fun to meet new listeners all over the world. Some people are in the United States, but other people are in a completely different country, and I just think it's amazing to know the reach that Becoming Your Highest Self podcast has, and that it's absolutely changing your life in some way. So I just ask that if there's ever an episode you hear that's valuable to you, that you share it. You can share a snapshot of, what you're listening to and post it on social media. You're more than welcome to tag me, share it privately with friends if you think that they need a specific message you hear and you're like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my friend that's going through this thing. They probably need to hear this. I just want to say thank you so much. And if you're able to write an Apple podcast review because you're an Apple podcast listener, I would so appreciate that. I love whenever they pop up and I get to read them, and it just means so much. And it also helps the algorithm so that more people can find me. So the more reviews that the podcast gets, the more that I'm bumped up in the searchable list, and then the more people can find me all over the world and get whatever message they need from the podcast. So thank you so much for your support. So okay, you guys, I'm excited if you cannot tell. It's late at night. It's actually 11 p.m., but I have to talk about this. So the conversation has been coming up a lot in the last few days about basically people that aren't treating other people well. Okay, so let's say there's somebody in your life and they're not treating you well, or you just have these thoughts like, why are they mad at me? Why aren't they treating me with respect? What did I do to them? I don't understand what I've done wrong. I'm a good person. Why do I deserve this? Why did they do XYZ action? If that is kind of a thought process you've had recently or ever in your life, this is going to be an episode for you. And that is why I have titled this podcast episode specifically, That Is Theirs and This Is Mine. So this podcast episode is really going to be about building your emotional awareness and your emotional resilience, and how to help you understand your work even when other people may not be doing their work, okay? And when I say their work, I mean, let's rewind. Okay, if you've not started from the beginning of the podcast, you may not know this, but this podcast is geared towards self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, emotional intelligence, mindset, all of the things, okay? And it's really also about radical responsibility and taking your power back, because life is going to happen. And it doesn't matter what is happening externally, you can feel in your power internally at any given moment when you're doing your work. And your work is to heal from anything that keeps you from stepping into your highest self and the things that you really want for your life. So when I am speaking to my audience on this podcast and I'm talking to them about becoming their highest self, your highest self may be different than my highest self. My highest self may be different than someone else's highest self. But the roundabout, overarching picture of becoming your highest self is living out the life that you dream up that may feel impossible right now, but that is 1000% possible when you are doing all of the internal work that it takes to get to your next level, to grow, to evolve, to transform. Okay? So, lots of conversations in the last couple of days about people feeling kind of upset and discouraged with the ways that other people are treating them. So, it would be like, somebody who has said something to you or done something towards you, and you're just like, I just don't understand why they're behaving that way with me, or I don't understand why they're treating me this way, why they're ignoring me, or why they're isolating me, why they are acting like a child, whatever it is. For the sake of the podcast, I'm going to use my own made-up example so that I can use this in the language that I want to, as far as helping you better understand. So if I'm talking about me, it would be as if I was saying something along the lines of, I don't understand why this person always treats me this way whenever I come around them. I'm not sure what he or she sees or thinks about me, but it seems like every time I come around them, they, have a problem with me, and I'm not even sure what I have done. So that's kind of the roundabout of what has been coming up a lot for clients this week, for friends, for family members. It's crazy how often this has come up, and this is why I wanted to talk about this today. But the response that I have given just about every single person is what I say to myself when I am actually doing emotional awareness work. So if someone is treating me a certain way, right, or I'm confused by their behavior, or I'm trying to understand why the heck they're behaving the way that they're behaving, or what could possibly be wrong, and why it's affecting me, this is what I say to myself. That is theirs, and this is mine. And here's what this means. The part that is theirs is in regards to their behavior, their actions, their thoughts, their feelings, okay? Other people's behavior is being driven by something that a lot of times has zero to do with you. If someone is treating you a certain way, it may feel very personal, right? And the thoughts that you might have in your mind are like, they don't like me. They've never liked me. We haven't been able to get along since the first day we met. Or they have a problem with me. Or maybe they're jealous of me. Or whatever you're thinking, okay? Your brain is going to offer so many thoughts and so many reasons to take whatever they're doing personal, okay? It's like this natural victim response, because what we do is like, I don't understand why they don't like me, and they have a problem with it, and they, because whenever you're distracting yourself by they, and everything that they're doing, it means that you don't have to turn inward and look at how you're responding. You don't have to take any kind of emotional responsibility if you're looking at what they're doing and you're blaming them for the behavior. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I am in no way justifying other people's negative behaviors or justifying that they can treat you any way they want. That's why I have episodes on boundaries, okay? People don't get to just treat you however they want to treat you without your consent, okay? So that's why you have boundaries, and there are episodes about that. So make sure you listen to them. If you have a hard time setting boundaries. And if you're a people pleaser, or if you have past trauma that makes you want to be liked and loved by everybody, make sure that you listen to the episodes that, talk about thoughts around people pleasing and setting boundaries. Okay, but that's not what we're really talking about today. What we're talking about today is that this chatter around what everybody else is doing, quote, quote, to you, does not matter as much as what's happening inside of you emotionally. So again, what I say to myself whenever I'm triggered by something that someone is doing and I feel like it's a personal attack against me, or I notice that I'm starting to have mind drama about the way that they're behaving towards me, I say that is theirs and this is mine. So again, that is theirs is referring to the fact that their behavior has usually nothing to do with you and everything to do about their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own actions, and their own results. And they're taking their unhealed crap, right? Their unmanaged minds, their dismissed thoughts, like if they're not doing the work, if they have never had life coaching, if they've never had therapy, they're not even aware that they could do work on themselves. Do you see what I'm saying? I want to point out that if you're listening to this podcast, you've already gotten a step ahead. I don't know if that was good grammar just now, but you are already a step ahead of people who don't do any self-help work. Okay? There are a lot of people in the world who read self-help, who listen to, podcasts, who hire coaches and who work with therapists, but there's also a greater population of people who don't, who have no idea of this work. And something that we do, especially when we start working on ourselves, is we expect everybody to want to work on themselves or to understand all the things that we now understand. Because when you're doing this work, you are seeing things in a different perspective. You're almost gaining a new set of ears and a new pair of eyes. You're not going to see things exactly the same way as people who are not doing this work. So for people who've never done any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like introspection? Is that the word? I don't even know if that's the word. But for anybody who's not done inner work on themselves, most of the time, whenever their behavior is a certain way towards you, it's not actually about you. It has to do with their inner wounding, their inner child, things that they have not looked at, things that they have not addressed. Like they're walking around with a brain that is unchecked, okay? They're walking around having little to no self-awareness most times. So they're not thinking about how their actions maybe are going to impact you. And if they are thinking about, oh, this may hurt their feelings, but they're not really communicating with you in a healthy manner, there's still work for them to do. But that has nothing to do with you. So for instance, let's say that an ex has done something horrific in your relationship. And you're like, I don't understand why they would do this to me. I don't understand why they would hurt me this way. I don't understand why they would do this to our kids, to our family unit. I just don't understand. Okay, that is theirs. That's theirs. Okay, they did what they did because of something that is happening inside of them that has gone unmanaged. Whether that is in their mindset, their feelings, their past, trauma, unhealed things, they're doing all of that not specifically always to hurt you or to put you in a position that is really, really tough. A lot of times it goes way deeper than that, and it has to do with lack of respect for themselves, lack of self-love, lack of self-awareness, like lack of support, a past where they saw things or experienced things in their childhood that went unresolved, and now they've brought that behavior into adulthood, and you think they should know better because they're in adult bodies, but mentally and emotionally, they may not. Okay? That is theirs. Step away from what is theirs. You don't need to always understand that, but I will tell you that when you're doing emotional self-awareness work, there will be plenty of moments where you start to understand maybe why they're doing what they're doing once you get past the anger, the resentment, the sadness, all of the things. Okay? So going back to that statement, that is theirs and this is mine. Whenever I'm saying that to myself, specifically the "this is mine" statement, I am referring to what emotionally happens within me whenever I feel that I have been treated unfairly by someone else's behavior, or when I am personally triggered. That is mine to understand. That is my work. That is where my power lies, okay? To gain my power back when I feel like I have been the victim to something or from someone's behavior, my power lies in understanding my own trigger. Why did what they did, okay, whatever they did, why did it trigger me? Why am I upset? What am I thinking? So instead of focusing on the external factors of what they did and how they're a terrible person, right? Or how they shouldn't be treating me like this because I'm a great person, whatever the thoughts are. Instead, I always come back to me and I say, this is mine. The emotions that I'm feeling right now, all the negative ones, are mine. And I'm going to take responsibility for mine and try to understand them. So when I become agitated, frustrated, sad, upset, anything, even if I do feel like another person has caused it, it is my job to understand where my emotions are coming from. And each time I do that, I open up the ability to heal things. And every time I heal things, I'm less affected by it when it happens from somewhere else or someone else, okay? So if that external thing comes back into my life, instead of having to relearn the lesson over and over and over again because I'm blaming everybody else, if I understand why I'm even triggered in the first place, or why it makes me upset, or why I'm emotional myself, then I have created a clean slate so that it doesn't impact me at the same intensity the next time that it happens, whether it's the same person or a different person. And this is how I have mended and can coexist with people in my life that have hurt me in the past. For instance, family members where there was a lot of trauma, and people that I thought I could never coexist with. I could never have a relationship with them because the pain was just too much. I learned how to set boundaries, and I learned what in their behavior, what in their actions triggers me. And each time I have turned inside of myself to understand my own triggers, my own emotions, I gain my power back in that if they ever do that again, I can pause and say, the reason that I'm feeling this negative emotion bubble up in me is because I'm thinking this. I'm feeling this. It's making me want to act like this. And I can also think ahead to the results that I might get. If I do this thing, say this thing, okay, continue feeling this feeling, it's likely going to give me this result. And then I ask myself, do I want that result? If that result is possible, is that even what I want? No. Okay, so then I come back home to myself, right? And when I do that, I'm also able to kind of step into their perspective of why their behavior is what it is and get very curious. So I was telling some friends this tonight because we were talking about certain people that, have not treated them well, or things that they're really disappointed in other people. And I'm like, if you were sitting at a table with them and they were saying their side, you're probably going to notice negative emotion bubbling up in you because that's not your perspective. That's not what you feel. You feel like you've been done wrong. They feel like their behavior is justified. But crawling over the table to attack them or scream at them that they're wrong or completely lose your cool is not going to be a powerful thing for the end result that you ultimately want, which is a good relationship, a healthy relationship, at the very least, healthy communication. So you have to kind of turn inward even in the heat of high intense emotion and remind yourself again that that is theirs. Whatever they're saying, whatever they're doing, whatever they've done, that is theirs. There's a reason that they're doing that I might not understand. Okay? I may not understand why that is their behavior, but it likely underneath the surface has nothing to do with me and something deeper in them that they have not healed, they have not faced, and it's driving what they're doing. And you get to choose if you're going to be a recipient of it through boundaries, okay? Through if you give them your emotional power. So I say to myself, that is theirs and this is mine. And the things that are mine are the emotions that I get to recognize and that I get to take the time to understand so that I can take my power back. Is this making sense? So if you're having the thoughts like, why are they mad at me? That is theirs. It doesn't matter, okay? It really doesn't matter why they're mad. I mean, that's a different episode for a different day. For this episode specifically, they might not even be mad at you. They may have something way deeper going on. But think about how it makes you feel when you think that they're mad at you. You're obviously feeling something negative, a negative emotion. And any emotion, so your thoughts create your feelings, aka emotions, create your actions. They're what drive your actions of what you're going to do or not do. And your actions of what you do or do not do are what give you your results in your life. So anything that is theirs, let it be theirs, okay? How you handle it and how I handle it, that is ours. So I say this, how I handle it is mine. How I perceive it is mine. What I think about it is mine. That's my work. I don't need them to do it for me. I don't need them to make it better. And a big piece of my work personally is being able to coexist with people and not need them to change in order to feel better. So there's an episode in this podcast about manuals and how we use manuals in our brain to try to control other people's behavior. We have a rule book of how everybody should act, respond, treat us, and whenever they don't, because we all have free will, whenever they don't treat us the way that we imagine they should in our manual, our invisible rule book that exists only in our mind, we lose our mind. And we think that the only way we're going to feel happy and the only way we're going to feel better is if they change who they are. And so a lot of times, it sounds silly, but a lot of times people are waiting for that. You think you can't be happy until your husband treats you differently, like buys you flowers every so often. You think that you don't have a healthy marriage because maybe he doesn't help with the dishes. Okay, we do this. We think that maybe our friend doesn't truly care about us because they don't text us first. We're always the one that has to text them. But a lot of times those things, those are little examples, but those are examples of like what you might have in your manual. You might believe that your friends should text you first, should check in on you. You may have a manual around your husband needs to buy you flowers to show that he cares and be spontaneous to show that he's in love with you, or he needs to help with the dishes to show that, he values and appreciates all the things you do. Those are just manuals, and manuals are just thoughts, and our thoughts are what create the feelings that we're feeling. And you can learn all of this by binging the podcast if this is your first time being here, okay? It can blow your mind. It can absolutely change your life. It can change your relationships. It absolutely will. In fact, it absolutely will. If you do this work, everything will be different because it starts with you. And some of my clients, some of my clients have a lot of resentment around them needing to be the one that, begins to change their life. They're like, no, I want my husband to change. I want my mother to change. I want my father-in-law to change. I want my sister-in-law to be different because she's totally rude. Okay, but you might be waiting forever because, again, they might not even know that self-awareness is a thing. That might not even be in their wheelhouse, their interest. And if you're waiting to be happy based on the behavior of someone else, Lord, you are in for a very long haul, okay? A very long life of self-sabotage and self-suffering. Because trust me, I've been there, I've done that. I may just be 30 years old. But when I believed that certain family members that had hurt me needed to change in order for me to feel better and have a good relationship with them, guess what? I was constantly disappointed. Constantly disappointed. And I would be like, I just don't understand why they behave this way. I don't understand why they would treat me like this. I'm blood. Why is this happening? And then in doing this work, I realized they're not even treating me that way because they desire to maybe treat me that way, even though it feels so true. They're treating me that way because they don't have a good relationship with themselves. They don't love themselves. They don't like themselves. They have their own work to do. And what people also pick on targets that are easy to pick on. So like when you are not in your power, it is much easier for people to walk all over you. Just saying. It really is true. Like if people know that they have that kind of power over your emotional state, over your mind, sometimes that feels really good for them because they don't have that kind of control over themselves. So if they can control you because you're not taking your power back, well, dang, that probably feels pretty darn good to them. Okay? So do your work. Do your work. That is theirs and this is mine. This is mine is your opportunity to say, why am I upset? Why am I emotional the way that I am? What is triggering me about the way that they're treating me or how they're, whatever an external factor's behavior is coming into play? Like, what is happening inside of myself? Sit with it, sit with it, sit with it. Do the work. And if you need help with this kind of work, remember, I am a coach. I offer one-on-one life coaching. As of right now, I'm working on something behind the scenes to help more people, but you can schedule a free consult at any given point by going to MacieRenae.com. We can talk it out and figure out what's going to be best for you. Okay, and you can ask any questions that you have, and at the end of it, you don't have to be a yes, even to a coaching package. You don't have to say yes. You can use that consult call also as a way to be powerfully coached on something that maybe is feeling very difficult in your life. And if you're ready to move forward, and if you want to move forward, we will. And if you need more time, then you need more time. It's okay. All right. I love you all regardless. All right. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you later.